Because of those death threats, Ian had installed a surveillance camera system, 4 video cameras, and he keeps them running at all times because he's terribly afraid for his life, because these continuous threats and gestures being made to him by a neighbor next door in a country.
Have a look at the video so we can all, you people can see what it is we're talking about.
This is the most horrendously upsetting real video of firebombing that anyone has ever seen.
Wow.
Well, you can see right there, you can see the masked men right there. What they're doing is they're throwing the Molotov cocktails lit. You can see them explode. You can see that these cowards even threw it into his dog kennel. And you can see the 3 dogs trying to escape the fire.
Welcome to Right Interviews. You know, I travel a lot, and to accommodate my travel, we have 3 studios. We have one in Palm Springs, California when I'm traveling in the U.S., one in Vancouver when I'm on the left coast, and one in Toronto, Ontario. I'm there right now in Toronto, Ontario with my guest today. He's an attorney, Edward Buehler. Ed, I guess it's a lawyer in Canada, attorney down south.
Yes, and it's pronounced Burlew.
All right. I have never, ever pronounced anyone's name correctly. I call myself Brain. Oh, should be Brian.
Okay.
See, I'm not good at this.
I travel under an alias.
Do you? Now, you're a lawyer, but I think you're a gun lawyer.
Yes, I am. That's my specialty. I'm the top gun specialty lawyer in Canada.
Yeah. And what does that mean?
Well, that means I represent people who have licensing problems, clubs who have licensing problems, people charged with all types of criminal offenses, from shooting guns to owning guns to forgetting to put their trigger locks on it.
And you work for, like, people as individuals, or do you work for the Canadian sports?
I'm a private practice attorney. I've been that way for 31 years. And one of my clients is the Canadian Shooting Sports Association.
Mm-hmm. And I get that mixed up, too. Sports, shooting sports. And their website, do you know?
Either way, it goes bang.
CanadianSportsShooting.org. How am I doing? You don't know that,
I think
do you?
that's right, but I just go CSSA.
Okay. How many years have you been their attorney?
13.
Okay. And guns, I see you have a neat tie.
Got that in London at Holland & Holland.
You guys, if you can do a close-up on that tie, I like the tie, like it's shotgun shells. Let me see your cufflinks.
Oh, the cufflinks.
Show everybody. This is cool.
The cufflinks, they're Browning high power. 40 caliber.
What about the other one? Same?
That's the other side.
Nice.
That's
nice.
for reloads.
Oh, good, good. So you're a shooter?
Very much so.
How many guns do you have?
About 100.
How many registered?
All of them.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay.
I
Good.
have to be in a protective position because I find that I'm under criticism and usually surveillance by the police at most times.
That would make some sense, yes. So you're clearly not in favor of the gun registry?
I think it's a complete waste of time
Why?
because it does not control the criminal use of guns. All it does is allows for civilians who may have had a very small problem with the guns or may not even be gun related to have their guns confiscated by the state.
Is it against the law to protect yourself with a firearm?
No, it's approved. It's in the criminal code that you must do that.
But the people, the lawmakers, the people who make the laws happen, is it against their law?
It's against the feelings, not against the law, of some law enforcement officials, be they police or Crown attorneys.
Yeah. You have a situation that's going on now. There's a victim of an attempted murder who was disarmed in Niagara by the regional police. And this was in August of this year.
That's right. On a Sunday morning, August 22nd, at 6:37 in the morning, he was awakened by what he thought were gunshots. When he got up out of bed that Sunday morning, he found that there were 3 masked men prowling around his house, throwing Molotov cocktails, firebombs, at each window and door of his house. And they were shouting death threats, trying to trap him in his house so that he would burn to death.
What? Who were these guys? Like
Well-
enemies, clearly, but I mean, business enemies or drug people?
No,
What was it?
2 of them were just arrested last week. The nearest he can figure is he's had an ongoing dispute with his neighbor over free-range chickens running back and forth in this country area. And
Chickens will cause a lot of problems.
apparently too many.
Yeah, I guess.
And what happened was a couple of years ago, his neighbor threatened him with death, threatened Ian with death. And Ian,
Because of the chickens?
yes. And so what happened, they were the neighbor's chickens, and Ian wanted them to shoot off. So what happened was Ian was smart enough to have a tape recorder with him when this, of many death threats, was made against him. He went to the Niagara Regional Police, and they laid charges of threatened death against the neighbor, who pled guilty, was not given jail time, and after the probation was over, this is a consequence. Because of those death threats, Ian had installed a surveillance camera system, 4 video cameras, and he keeps them running at all times because he's terribly afraid for his life because these continuous threats and gestures being made to him by a neighbor next door in a country setting.
Does he own a firearm?
Yes, he is a licensed owner of several registered firearms,
Handguns?
included, yes.
Yes. And the evening in question here, his house was bombed. Did he take his firearm out? Did he use it?
It was the early morning. He was awakened by this.
What time in the morning?
6:37 a.m. You can
boy.
see that on the video. It's part of the timed video. And what happened was he got up, looked out the door. He noticed his house was on fire, of course. He's in his underwear. He's a mature man, 53 years old, and he's also a full-time university student at Brock University, taking environmental engineering so that he can re-enter the workforce after being injured as a heavy crane operator.
Okay.
And so what happens is he then saw these murderous attempts going on, and he armed himself by opening a safe, getting out one of his guns, loading it, and he tried to escape his house. He was able to escape his house when he went to the front door.
And the house is actually on fire?
The house was on fire, including some of the bombs had come through the windows, and the interior of the house was on fire.
Can we watch a video
Yes.
now? Let's
Yes.
have a look at the video
Okay.
so we can all, you people can see what it is we're talking about.
This is the most horrendously upsetting real video of firebombing that anyone has ever seen.
Wow.
Well, you can see right there, you can see the masked men right there. What they're doing is they're throwing the Molotov cocktails lit. You can see them explode. You can see that these cowards even threw it into his dog kennel. And you can see the 3 dogs trying to escape the fire.
This is incredible. And the police came.
The police came. He did call 911. He tried to call 911, but we realized his house was on fire. He had to run out. When he ran out, he
Had the gun in his hand?
He had the gun in his hand. What apparently happened was, when he looked out the front door, one of the guys had dropped a Molotov cocktail. And so he said, now's my chance to get out. He didn't know if they were armed, whether there were more of them, whether he was going to be beaten to death or set on fire himself. He was still in a state of siege.
But he's being bombed.
Exactly.
So he comes out with a firearm, a loaded gun.
That's right. It was a .38 revolver.
Did he discharge anything?
When he comes out, what he does is he's faced with a man about to now throw another Molotov cocktail at him. He shoots to miss to scare them away. He misses. They get scared away. The 911 call he then completes. 22 minutes later, the fire department arrives.
How far away was it? Next town.
It must have been. I haven't measured the
22 minutes.
22 minutes later.
And after he shot at the bad guy, did all the bad guys run away?
They retreated.
So
it's in a wooded area.
He only did one shot?
I don't know if it was 2 or 3.
Okay. Didn't hit anyone?
Apparently not.
And he's been charged?
Yes, he was charged with unsafe use of a firearm.
Sorry.
Well, I think it's completely ridiculous. And he was told by the police officers, well, don't worry about this, nothing to it. And so, and I had a conversation with him in the fall. I said, well, I don't think, if you think that they're going to drop the charge, you don't need a lawyer. He goes into court the end of November. The Crown Attorney.
End of November 2010.
Yes, just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And the Crown Attorney has laid 3 additional charges. 2 charges of unsafe storage of the guns that he had loaded for his protection that were loaded afterwards, plus another charge I'm not too sure of. I think they said handgun and revolver twice. And then they wrote and signed with a flourish on this screening form that they wanted him to do jail, even if he pled guilty at an early date.
What happened to the 3 bad guys?
Well, 2 of them are arrested. One was already in jail when arrested. And they said, we know who the 3rd one is, but we haven't arrested him yet. So he's asked the police to please do something about that. And their reply is, well, if you see him, give us a call.
This is a mess. This is unbelievable.
It truly is.
And now it's going to cost him a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, the first thing that he's got to do is, because the defense against a type of murderous attack like this requires that the force being met be of equal force. Now, arson is a deadly force. There's no doubt about that.
Bombing sounds deadly.
It sure does.
3 men coming at you throwing bombs at one guy with a gun. I mean, what's a shoot to miss stuff? I mean, I would have. Anyway, that's another story.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, he figured that he would do that.
Yeah.
Now, what ends up happening then is he now has to hire a psychiatrist to convince the judge, and I have a preeminent psychiatrist to do this, forensic psychiatrist, to convince the judge that he had an air of reality in reacting this way, because how your body and mind reacts to this type of attack can continue for hours after the attack. It all depends on how you react to this, but certainly you don't know where these culprits are, where these murderous fiends are. They could come at you at any time during the day until perhaps the police come and give you some protection, and the house is put out.
It's an unbelievable story. I could talk to you about this a lot and a long time, but we're out of time, so we have to go for now. Are you in Calgary during the show in April?
I certainly want to be.
Yeah, I'm the keynote speaker at the dinner at the Calgary show.
That's a relief and a pleasant thing to expect.
Good. And I look forward to seeing you there because I want to talk some more, and I'm really interested to see what happens between now and then, and the court system and all of this stuff. And all of you people come back, and we'll give you updates on this all of the time. And you know what? Why don't you phone your member of parliament, phone your MLA, phone someone, phone God, because we need help here. I mean, this is unbelievable if you're a Canadian. And for that matter, no matter who you are or where you live, make some noise, because it's a pretty sad day. I would say, when you can't even protect your own property and your house and your life. Come back. See ya.